Thank you for that awesome intro, Mo. And thank you everyone for making it to the last section, to the last talk of the second annual React Native London conference. Very excited to be here. So in the next 20 or so minutes, we're going to address a very important topic, and this is building for the most important person in your life, which is yourself, of course. So hi, I'm Kadi. I'm a software developer at Expo, and I absolutely love being a developer. I'm often feeling pretty grateful that I've kind of lucked into this career instead of my original plan, which was to become a psychiatrist or a hairdresser. So I think it's turned out well. I really love building apps, especially, obviously, and I love understanding how things work under the hood. So I'm really thrilled for the advances that we're seeing in the world, allowing more people to build more things that they want for themselves. Now, there are tons and tons of apps out there, and tons of Expo apps. Hundreds, thousands. You'd think that there is an app already for every possible need. And yet, our needs can be so nuanced. Yes, you could use an app that kind of works, but it doesn't have that one feature you would quite like. Or it does what you need, but it's filled with bloat that slows things down. Or indeed, a feature that you want simply doesn't exist because simply not enough people need it. Let me show you a very specific example from my own life. This is the Tesco app. Tesco is a supermarket in the UK, if you don't know. And it has a little shopping list feature inside it. I'm not actually sure how I stumbled upon it, but I did. And somehow I ended up using it. It was just really convenient because I'd be in the kitchen, I'd used up the last bit of milk, I'd just pop it in a list. But it has some issues. Let me just go back and play this again. You'll notice that the splash screen takes way too long to hide. And I also have to navigate to actually get to the shopping list page. And there are features that I wish that I had, such as deleting completed items, or being able to sync between two devices. Also, it has a very important feature, which I presume this was built for, that I never used, which was to be able to find whether the thing was in stock. I'll be honest with you, I don't always use this list at Tesco. So, this feeling of using an app that kind of works, but I wish it was kind of a little bit different, is not a unique experience. It is not an experience only I've had. Modern software is built to account for the most common user need. And the more nuanced your need, the less likely it is that there is a tool that does just that. For big companies that build the big apps that you use day to day, there simply isn't profitable for them to build it. So, being the engineer that I am, I eventually built the app that actually does just what I need for myself. And let's look at them side by side. I'll just go back and play them both at the same time. You notice that while my app doesn't have the integration with Tesco's fancy stock shelf thing, it launches instantly, and it fits my use case way better. It is super fast to open, it syncs between devices. I've also added buttons to clear the completed items, and then just like a quick add for new items. Super simple, but I literally use it daily. In this new era of generative AI, more people can be empowered to cater for their own simple use cases and solve their own problems, or problems specific to their friends, family, communities, way quickly and way easily. How you feel about, well, I should say, this app is a perfect example of something you could use generative AI to build. You have something that works, you have a very specific idea, and you could AI to go from A to B. I actually didn't use generative AI for that app originally, because believe it or not, I built it in the before times. And it's kind of crazy that we are alive in a moment where before generative AI and now after generative AI feels like such a big leap, but it's been less than 5 years. Like, we're in a crazy time. And how you feel about AI is often correlated with how long you've been coding professionally. So if you're a very experienced engineer, you are more likely to be more reluctant to opt into AI-driven workflows. Also, as Mo spoke to in the keynote, we, the experienced engineers, probably have the most to gain from this revolution. Have a look at these 4 everyday things. We've got audiobooks, GPS tracking, spell check, and calculators. What do you think these things have in common? Did you know that they were all items that were created to solve a specific problem for a specific group of people, but they ended up being potentially even more useful for another set of people? So audiobooks, created for people for reading for the visually impaired. GPS, originally this was military technology for precise tracking. Spell check, originally assistive tech for dyslexic writers. And calculators were initially for helping people who are bad at maths. But as it turned out, mathematicians and engineers will also choose not to do calculus if given the option. And from a development perspective, AI coding fits right in here. It's created for users who didn't know how to code, for them to be able to get into this whole new world and empower them to create software anyway. But this doesn't mean that us, the experienced engineers, cannot benefit from these advancements. Quite the contrary, we can be way more productive than ever due to also having something special, understanding of what we're doing and experience. So our tech-focused world has made it both easier and harder for us to build software. For the rest of this talk, I'll tell you about 3 things that generally keep us from executing on our dreams, and how to overcome them and build anyway. This is a tweet that I posted, and it was a tweet back then, that I posted in 2020, and it was, raise your hand if you're paying for a domain for a personal site but have never done anything with it. And turns out more than a few people felt this resonated with them. And I thought it was quite funny that the top comment was actually exactly my experience, because it was the reason that I posted that tweet. They said, I have done something with it. What I did was renewed my subscription for 1 more year. So question is why? Why do we buy these domains or reserve these NPM names, but not do the rest? In short, why do we procrastinate? Now, important thing to realize this here, if you are prone to procrastination, that procrastination is not laziness. You are not a lazy person because you procrastinate. Something else is wrong here. To understand procrastination, we need to understand motivation. And motivation is to do with dopamine, which is this neurotransmitter produced in the brain. And it is the thing that motivates us to do anything. And it's the key to our reward system. In simple terms, things that produce dopamine in the brain are rewarding, and we want to do them, and we're more likely to do them. Some examples of things that do produce dopamine are food, eating, exercise, social connection, music, but also achieving goals and completing tasks. Now, this is a bit confusing, because if achieving goals and completing tasks is rewarding, why aren't we doing more of that? Well, the problem is time is a factor. The longer it takes to reach this reward, the less motivated we are to do it. And there are distractions literally all around us. Now, this is an example from psychology that is actually used often as an example here. So, slot machines. And it's widely used as an example of how this dopamine system can be hijacked for profit. So in a slot machine, you press a button or a lever or something, and then the wheels turn, and if you get the right thing, then you win some money. Now, why is this so appealing? It is fast, it is repeatable. Trying again is just pressing that button again, but also it has a variable reward system, meaning that every time you press a button, you don't get the reward, but sometimes you do. And if you remember from the previous slide, anticipation itself creates dopamine. So you have this anticipation, sometimes reward loop that is the most addictive thing out there. Now you might be thinking, well, I don't play slot machines, so this has nothing to do with me. Unfortunately for us, this is a known trick, and there are many things around us that are competing for our attention using exactly the same mechanism. For example, social media. The notification, the like, the comment, we kind of crave the next fix. Even productivity tools like Slack or Teams can be detrimental because you keep checking notifications every 5 minutes. All these companies use these to drive us back into their apps for their profit, but they actually make us less productive, more distracted, and less likely to actually achieve our long-term goals and build that side project. Now, I enjoy psychology, I think you can tell, and this isn't a psychology talk. But I do believe this is something that we should all be very conscious of. If you find yourself checking Slack 100 times a day or like doom scrolling for an hour instead of doing the actual thing you want to do, then take a step back and think about how your attention and time is being tricked away from you. I will only leave you with 2 takeaways, so 2 problems and 2 suggestions for how to solve it. So the first problem is that our dopamine baseline is just way too high. Imagine you're eating a delicious pizza, and then you finish eating the pizza, and then you have like a plain slice of toast. You're not going to enjoy that toast very much. Now, imagine that you are instead hungry, and you have the same slice of toast. That toast is going to taste damn good. And this is the same thing that we have. Because we are experiencing activities like, scrolling on social media that give us a lot of dopamine, then when we try to do the thing that's hard, that has a low reward, it's difficult to get started just because we're used to this higher dopamine. So what to do instead is to do the task you're putting off after doing something boring. So first thing in the morning is a great example. Not that sleeping is boring, but it's just a baseline. You kind of reset for the day. Or alternatively, after you've had a bath, gone for a walk, or had a nap, or something like that. And the second problem is that our brains are wired to heavily favor immediate rewards over future ones. So things that you get immediately, if you ever try to lose weight and not been very successful, you'll notice because you will very much value eating this donut immediately rather than, this weight loss that is months in the future. But when it comes to tech projects, the way to overcome it is to break your task into very, very small subtasks. So if you set yourself goals like, this Saturday I'm going to work on my side project, it is guaranteed to fail because this is a vague, nebulous goal. Instead, you want to have a to-do list of very small standalone tasks that you can check off. And if you're feeling especially unmotivated, I suggest doing what I do and start this list with make a to-do list. So then when you finish the list, you can check it off. All right, enough about procrastination. Let's talk about the second reason side projects often fail, and that is scope creep. That's right, in our own project, there is scope creep. This is another personal example, and this is actually what prompted this talk in the first place. Early in the year, I got a puppy. His name is Sherlock, and he's absolutely adorable. Ton of work, of course. I've never had pets before, so everyone who warned me that puppies are a ton of work, you were right. I still love him though. So me and my other half, obviously we were looking after this brand new puppy, and we kept having the same conversation. Did you feed him already? How old is he again? When did we last give him a bath? And obviously, both being engineers that we are, we ended us with, we're going to build an app to track this. That's the solution to everything, right? Well, I've built plenty of apps before, I have the skills and the tools, so I got started. I created a new project, I created my splash screen and my app icon because I love doing those. I added auth with Clerk, this was more because I wanted to test their new SDK than anything else. I added GraphQL, this was also because I wanted to test end-to-end type generation for one of the Expo examples. And then I created a database schema. So for the database schema, I was like, okay, so we have a user, and then a user creates a family, and then invites other users to the family, and then the family can have a pet, but they can have multiple pets, and the pets have types, so they can be dogs or cats or carrots or lizards. And we need to have tables for the feeding schedules and the logs and the weights. And so I had this massive database schema. I was like, okay, well, I've done that. So I'm going to write the queries. So I wrote all the GraphQL queries and the mutations. And then obviously I have to do the client side as well to do all the queries and the mutations. And then I have to write a ton of forms for like login and create an account and invite. And I got bored. I wouldn't want to do this for work. Yeah, I couldn't make myself work on this anymore. And I sidelined it for several weeks. It was just no longer fun. And the end goal of actually getting the thing that I wanted kept going further and further away. Meanwhile, my other half and I keep having the same conversations. Only now we end this with, once we have the app. So one Saturday, I had enough. I took a good hard look at, who am I building this for? Why am I supporting a use case with a family of 4 with 2 pet lizards and a bunny? I don't even know anyone who has a pet lizard. It's just me, my other half, and a little dog that we need to remember to bathe occasionally. So I did a good thing, and I deleted more than 80% of the code I'd written. I ended up with just 3 tables for food logs, weight logs, activity logs, and users. Notice that there isn't even a pet table, because I have 1 pet. I hard-coded the pet. And lo and behold, this was the same day, same Saturday, before the sun went down, I had my MVP for my puppy tracking app with all the features I need, including dark mode. So this is the key takeaway, which is also in the title, so spoilers there. Build for yourself first. You might have grand dreams of publishing this app to the App Store and then having a maybe side income and lots of users. Sure, it might happen, but build for the use case you need and start using it straight away. And you can add additional features in the future. Now, I asked around at Expo about other apps like people have been building for themselves, because most people have a little side app. So I'm going to show you some other examples. John plays Scrabble with his in-laws, and they needed a convenient way to check valid words, because going on websites and Googling it was a bit tedious. So he built a Scrabble dictionary. Brent wanted to master latte art and be able to visualize his progress over time more conveniently than just scrolling on the camera app. So he built a latte art rating app. I do think he's being a bit hard on himself. He rated 3 out of 5 on this one. I think that's pretty good. I can't do that. Juan wanted a better way to track anime he's watched and planning to watch in the future. So he built his own anime tracker. Colin wanted to be more efficient at Wordle, and he's not beating around the bush when it comes to naming things. He built a Wordle cheater app. And finally, we have Gabriel, who built this app with his girlfriend and started with, they do a lot of traveling, and they wanted to write notes on their travels and things what they've done and just keep track of things. So they built this holiday notes app. And over time, it's grown to this miscellaneous collection of bits just the 2 of them need. Games, gym tracking, obviously the holiday notes. This is a really perfect example of building something for yourself. Now, the last big thing to overcome when building for yourself is the how. And aren't we fortunate? The how is becoming progressively easier to obtain. Expo, of course, is a React Native framework that many enterprises are using to power their businesses. But that is not and will never be the only use case. From the very beginning, the goal of Expo has been to be able to enable developers to build mobile apps as easily as websites. With the advent of AI, this premise has become more and more achievable. Here are some things that we're working on that help you ship your projects, whether they're side or main projects, faster. Of course, we highly encourage the use of AI, so in addition of having AI search in our docs, we also have documentation for LLMs that anyone can use, whatever tools you're using. We recently shipped Expo MCP, which integrates with Claude Code, Cursor, VS Code, and others. It enables you to quickly search our docs and interact directly with your Expo projects. Expo is also the platform of choice for many vibe coding tools. We've collaborated on guides with several AI coding tools that integrate with Expo. So Bolt, Replit, Create, Tempo, etc. And this is kind of a side project, actually. This is a fun little tool that my colleague Bessa created. And it's for this task of if you need an app icon and you don't know where to start, and you're not really a designer, it helps you create it with the use of ChatGPT. So here are some examples that were in the README. And actually, I used this for a little side project as well. I had this project where I wanted to have like a cute pet rock that you pet, like a Tamagotchi. So I asked for a rock with cute eyes. I think that's pretty cute. We are working on more things in this space, so definitely keep an eye out. But no matter what you build, and whether it's a shopping list app or a game in Unity or some Swift UI demos, whether you vibe coded it or not, none of it actually matters unless you actually ship it to test flight and start using it. So this is Expo Launch, and its goal is to be able to take your project and launch it to test flight or to the web, so you can start using it straight away without having any tools installed locally. So this is completely browser-based. Basically, you simply enter the GitHub URL of your project, and it will take you through in the UI, as you can see in this demo, each of the steps that needs to publish a test flight. So you don't need a Mac, you don't need anything installed locally, just the browser and a GitHub URL of your project. This includes cloning your project, installing dependencies, compiling the native app, starting the build, uploading it to test flight, and you can easily start using it. We are really excited for everyone to be able to launch their app faster, and we're very nice. So recently, we even added Flutter support. Anyway, as of right now, Launch supports deploying your apps to the Apple App Store and web using ES hosting. Play Store support is work in progress. You can obviously already share an APK that can be installed directly, but actually installing it from the Play Store is a little bit more tricky. We would get there a little bit faster with some help, so if anyone here knows anyone at Google, specifically anyone working on the Google Play Store, please can you introduce us? And we would love to iron out the last bits here. So, to recap, procrastination, scope creep, and the know-how. These are the enemies of our progress in building bespoke, amazing world for ourselves. And we can overcome each of these when we build and launch with intent. I hope you build your next app this weekend. Thank you.